Hey, and welcome back to PA on the Way. Lesson 3 of the 5 keys to freeing up your time to generate more income. Today we're going to talk about prioritising your time. So, how to prioritise your time? I would start by going back to my business goals, which is always the space to start with most of your time management things. What is it that you've got in place for your business? What are the goals that you've set for your business, and how is it that you're going to get those ahead in your business? For me, I look at what's the priority for any business, and I'm going to assert that it is, getting an income, having the income coming through. Without that, you don't have a business. So, what would be, in your opinion, the biggest goal that you have to prioritize every single day? For me, it's the income generating goals. So it's your marketing and your networking and things like that. The things that are going to build you your relationships and bring in the income. What I'd do then is break those goals down to see, out of what those goals, what ones are going to bring your business, move your business forward. Get it to that end goal of getting new clients, the income that you're looking for. When you can break those goals down into that particular requirement and niche, then that is when you would prioritize those as being one of the first things off your cab each day, after your low interest, the one low interest task first thing. The other thing you can be doing with prioritizing your time is having a look at those goals, the ones to move your business forward, and have a look to see if you are the one that is best fitted for that goal. Are you the best person on the sales team? Are you the most efficient networker? Probably, if you're not, then that would be a priority to get yourself to be that, because without that, your business doesn't stand a chance. And have a look at the other requirements that aren't necessarily moving your business forward, and see who else in your business can actually manage those, where it's not going to cost a huge amount to have that taken care of. Now, I also look at booking in time for distractions. Every day there's going to be a distraction. It can't but help be the case. And it is allocating and allowing some spare time in your day for those distractions to happen. Now, you can't schedule those distractions, but you can allocate an hour over the entire day that can take up the slack of those distractions. Next is what areas are you prioritizing? So again, for me, reiterating on what I've just said, it is breaking the business into areas. So there is the people skills, there is the sales and marketing, there is the administration, and there is the accounts and the finance, all of which are imperative in any business. But which ones are the ones that are generating the income? Which ones need to have your top priority, or your staff's top priority? It'll be all the ones that are income generating. Now, although your accounts department aren't necessarily income generating, if they're not on top of sending out your invoices and getting that stuff happening, then there's no income coming in, even if the rest of the team is doing their work. So how do you decide what's really important? Well, only you can decide that. You get to have a look at your business and decide what's important for your business. Something that was important 3 weeks ago may no longer be important, so get rid of it. Put it on your your board for in the future. So it's there. It's a goal, but it's not important for right now. There's other more important things to get taken care of. Then have a look at all the other income generating tasks that need your time. Networking, well, probably 30% of your week needs to be networking. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are out face to face networking. You can be networking through LinkedIn. You can be networking via Facebook and Twitter. It's all of that is getting to know people. All of that is building relationships. All of that is having people get to know who you are and what your business is all about. And then there's trust. Once you gain their trust, it is, that's when they're likely to buy from you. Now, just as easily, you can ruin trust with one word or one sentence. So be really aware of what your words are and how it is and what you promise, because that will really cripple any business. Now, once you've got your tasks in place, you want to put some timing around them into some bite-sized chunks. So you've got your Facebook and your Twitter accounts, for argument's sake. Now, I sit down and do a block of 2 weeks worth of posts. That way it's done. It's only one sitting and it covers off 2 weeks. Means that during the week, for my business, I'm not on Facebook. These things are going out. These are the inspirations that I had at that time that I can still give over to people in the future. It doesn't matter when. Usually when I'm making these posts and getting them ready for 2 weeks out, there's something going on that's pretty critical and important, and that gives the flavour of what's going on. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't go onto Facebook in other times and put little posts of what's going on in that moment, but it means that if I don't want to and there isn't really anything much more to report, then there's still posts, there's still chatter, there's still, something going on. Now, with your tasks, have a look at putting them into importance. And how would I do that? Well, I would decide whether they're high, medium, or low against each task. So make a list. You could use Excel and just break them down into high, medium, and low. And with when you break them down into high, medium, low, then have a look at what's high interest for you and what's low interest for you. Again, do your high priority, high interest tasks that are income generating. And any low interest, low priority tasks, if you've got somebody else that can do those for you, get them done. Pay someone to get them done. Now, you can also set time frames around this. So when you go to sit down and do your blocks of social media, you can give yourself an hour and say, over that hour, I'm going to put these tasks in place. I'm going to have enough posts done in that hour to sift out 2 weeks. Now, maybe that's not quite enough, but only you can be able to tell. So do 1 week at a time. But put some time restraints around it so then you know what you're going to get through. Now, once you've been doing this for a little while, a couple of days, or even at the end of every day, you review the system. Look over what you've achieved. Sometimes you could even look over at the end of that chunk of time and just review what has been achieved so you can see that you are on a winning streak. That then gives you a different mindset about how it is that you're going. You can also review it again at the end of each day and really be clear on what you set out to achieve and what was achieved. There is no right or wrong, and all you've got to do is be honest with yourself. Is what you set, was that way too big? Was that so unable to be achieved that you set yourself up for failure? Or did you under set and really you could have pushed in 1 or 2 more other bits? On top of that, review how many interruptions you had and what the interruptions were. And if they came from staff, what those interruptions were, And how can you educate them so you don't need to be interrupted with those same tasks again? And what were the interruptions that were caused? And how can you tweak those for next time? See if there was anybody that could have handled any of those interruptions better than yourself. And see if there was anything shiny and new that sidetracked you. I have a habit of finding something new and shiny that sidetracks me. And, were you having to cover other people's work to get through the day, to get through the week? There's, again, nothing wrong with that, but it is being really clear of what we call the what so of what's gone on in your day, and accepting that. Now, the last part of prioritizing your time is acknowledging your achievements. From the system and from the review, this gives you the ability to see your successes. Why would you want to see your successes? Well, that gives you some reference point, a reference point to know that you actually got something done, to see that you achieved, to know that what you did was successful. Now, this provides clarity in your system, clarity in yourself, and clarity in what works, which is perfect. And it also gives you a lot of self-worth. There is so much more ability in seeing the good that then ups you for the next day, to have your self-worth feel that much better, to know that you were successful the day before. So it gives you a reference point to be successful in the next day. And the other thing is acknowledging others. If you acknowledge others, that provides them with clarity for themselves, clarity about their tasks, and clarity about your relationship. Their self-worth in your eyes, which really isn't that important, but it is what you give them. And you give them the feeling of being valued. If you value the people that are working with you, then you'll get more out of them. Now, I'm sure that you've got a lot of tips that you can implement out of today's session. So I'd love to have some feedback on you prioritizing your time, and enjoy what you've got left of your day.